These are the ingredients I will use to cook the chicken. I'm going to be using 2 pounds of chicken drumsticks, 2 bay leaves, 1 head of garlic. You can see I cut the top off the garlic. Half a white onion, chicken bouillon, and black pepper. I will also be using about 3 quarts of water. Here I'm adding the chicken drumsticks to a pot. You'll want to make sure you use a large pot. I'm also adding the onion, garlic, bay leaves, chicken bouillon, and black pepper. If you don't want to use the chicken bouillon, you could also use salt. I just really like the flavor that the chicken bouillon adds. Now I'm going to add the 3 quarts of water. And I'm going to bring this to a boil over high heat. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to cover it and lower the heat to low, and I'm going to let it cook for about 1 hour. While the chicken is cooking, I'm going to get started on the salsa. I'm using 1 pound of tomatillos, and they come with a papery husk on them. So first I'm peeling them, and then I'm going to wash them because the papery husk leaves behind a sticky residue that you want to get off of the tomatillos. You really want to make sure you rinse the tomatillos well and that there's no sticky residue left behind. Now I'm going to add all my tomatillos to a pot. I will also be adding a jalapeno pepper. I took the stem off before I added it to the pot. Now I'm just gonna cover the tomatillos and the jalapeno with water. And then I'm going to bring it to a boil over medium-high heat. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to lower the heat to medium and I'm going to cover it. I'm going to let it cook for about 5 to 7 minutes or until the tomatillos change color. They won't be a bright green anymore. Instead, they will be kind of a darker, duller green. This is a poblano pepper that I roasted in the oven. This will also be going into our salsa. It's going to add a really good flavor to it. I'm going to let it sweat in this bag for about 20 minutes before I peel it and take the seeds out. Something I should have mentioned before is you don't want to cook the tomatillos too long that they burst open. You want them to stay intact. So you probably don't want to cook them any more than, like I said, 5 to 7 minutes. Here you can see I am just transferring them, including the jalapeno pepper, to my blender. I have also added 3 cloves of garlic, 1/4 of a white onion, and some ground cumin to the blender as well. And now I'm also going to add some Mexican oregano. I'm using 1 teaspoon. I'm also going to add 2 teaspoons of chicken bouillon. Like I said before, if you don't like using chicken bouillon, you could also use salt. For the salsa, I'm also going to be using 1 bunch of cilantro. I'm just going to cut the stems off and I'm going to chop it, and then I'm going to put it in my blender. Now I'm going to remove the charred skin from my poblano pepper, and then I'm going to open it and I'm going to remove all of the seeds from it. I'm also removing the stem. You won't need that. Now I'm just going to chop it up a bit so it will be easier for my blender to blend. Now I'm going to add the chopped poblano pepper to the blender. Now I'm going to blend it for a minute or 2 until I get a smooth salsa. Here I'm going to heat up about 1 tablespoon of oil in a pot over medium heat. Then I'm going to add the blended salsa. I'm just going to stir it for a bit, and then I'm going to actually add a little bit of water to the blender just to get rid of any leftover sauce. And then I'm going to pour it into the pot. I'm going to let this salsa cook for about 10 minutes on medium-low. Now that the chicken is finally done, I'm going to transfer it to a large bowl where it can cool. Now I'm going to strain the pot of chicken broth into a new pot just to get rid of any bits of chicken skin and garlic and onion. Now I'm going to pour the chicken broth back into the original pot. In order to make pozole, you will also need hominy. I found some canned hominy in my cabinets, and this is what I will be using. I'm using about 40.5 ounces of it. You will need to rinse it. Just pour it into a strainer and then rinse it with water. That's all you need to do. And then I'm going to pour it into my pot of chicken broth. Now I'm going to pour in my cooked salsa to the pot of chicken broth and hominy. Now is a good time to check for salt. If you think it needs more, you could add either salt or chicken bouillon. I'm going to add more chicken bouillon because it's what I prefer. Then I'm just going to give it a stir, and then I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to cook it on medium low for about 20 minutes. While that was cooking, I went ahead and shredded my chicken. I removed the chicken skin and I threw those away. You don't need that. And I also discarded the bones. Now I'm going to add the shredded chicken to the pot. I see that I should have used a larger pot for this, but it's too late now, so I'm just going to continue. If you make it, definitely use a larger pot than I did. Now, it wouldn't be pozole without all of the yummy garnishes. I have diced onion, sliced radishes, shredded cabbage, some limes, and of course, tostadas. This is my husband's plate that I served him, and he's really hungry and can't wait to eat it. So let's see his reaction. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you soon.